Hello, everyone. Today I'm here with Dustin. He's a very active member on Student Filmmakers, and he also has some amazing projects he's going to tell us more about in the following minutes. Dustin, how did you discover your passion for VFX and video production?
That's a great question. Actually, I discovered my passion for visual production. There was a Star Wars film that my dad had in the garage. They finally let us watch. And when I finally saw it, it blew me away. What also blew me away was it had a second disc, with about 4 hours of special features. It was a very visual effects heavy film. It was Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, still one of my favorites. And then from that, after watching all the special features and writing everything down, it just blew me away. I loved visual effects. And I found out I loved filmmaking, and I just carried on from there.
Oh, that's awesome, Dustin. What projects are you working on at the moment?
Currently, as you know, Marvel Recreation Universe Season 2 just wrapped. However, when we were filming Marvel Recreation Universe, we're actually filming 2 projects at the exact same time. We're also filming an hour-long documentary about the entire making of Marvel Recreation Universe, featuring interviews with the entire cast, behind-the-scenes content, images, and lots more behind-the-scenes stuff. We also have a weekly visual effects series that happens on the Marvel Recreation Universe YouTube channel, where every week we do a 10-second recreation with visual effects. Typically, it's me in a bunch of costumes. That's building up the YouTube channel, and the idea is that the YouTube channel is growing constantly. I think we get about 30,000 views a week across all our recreations. That's growing constantly. So the idea is the documentary is going to come out. I might premiere it at my house, or I might premiere it at a theater. That's going to come out, and then the YouTube channel is slowly building up steam. And then both finances gained from the YouTube channel and from the documentary will all be used to finance my very first feature film.
Can you tell us more about your very first feature film?
My very first feature film, actually, I can't say too much about it right now. Once we have the finances in place, the producers are in place, then I'll start going into writing the project, and from that, be filming. I will say that it's going to be very much in the spirit of MRU, that I do want to be fairly visual effects heavy and definitely much bigger in scale than a typical filmmaker's first film would be, which is why we did MRU first.
What is the inspiration behind your work?
All right, as far as recreations go, I would say that Dustin McLean did recreations from like 2012 to 2016. And those recreations were very interesting. What was interesting about them was that they're all DIY, but they're very entertaining. But also, he would do 7-minute behind the scenes showing you exactly how he did it with those videos. To be able to see the inspiration of how he did the recreations really made me think, if one Dustin could do it, why not 2? I know he wasn't really much into visual effects, so I thought if we could do recreations with visual effects, why not pick one of the biggest movie franchises around, would be Marvel. I think that'd be a really incredible project and bring a lot of people together.
And you did bring a lot of people together. Speaking of,
thank you.
How did the Marvel Recreation Universe project begin?
How to begin? That's a great question. I will name some people. John Anderson he's an executive producer, and he also was my assistant. So I just completed doing some short films for our Boy Scout troop that they really enjoyed. They were like 30-minute live action films. But I realized after doing that, we really hadn't nailed the filmmaking look or quality. We really had just made some people laugh and some good acting. So I wanted to change that. I wanted a series where I could really focus on the look of filmmaking and on visual effects. So after looking at Dustin's recreations, I realized the next step we should do is not do another feature film or short film, but instead is to practice recreating. And I talked to John Hess from filmmakeriq.com, and he said, that's a great idea. You'll learn a lot. That's what you should do. So then I had to get a team together. I had some people, but we weren't quite working as a team. It was more of a guilt trip how I got them on board in the beginning. So I needed a good team member. So at church, there was an usher named John Anderson, who are now very good friends. He played Spider-Man and Captain America throughout the entire show, basically. This is way back in 2018. So I told him we had this idea for this Guardians of the Galaxy recreations, a visual effects test for a show that could get much bigger if it succeeded. And he was on board. So we filmed that in like a day, and it took me like 6 months to edit it because it was my first time using green screen. So actually, I used these super bright lights, which is all we had. They were like these light bars, and actually that ended up causing me to think about 2 months of extra visual effects work just to key the guys out, just because I messed up so bad. But that came out, and that was a visual effects test. And then I went. The big thing I wanted to make sure was make sure John had a great time. He did, and I went, and because he had such a great time, they ended up talking to other friends about it. And then it was much later. That came out January 1st, 2019. And then I believe we didn't start filming again till later December. We had a full cast together of about 6 actors. We had an Iron Man, we had a Cap, John was playing Cap. I was Thor. We had an actress I met at a filmmaking conference. She was playing Black Widow. And then I had a friend of mine who was playing Hawkeye. And we bought all the costumes. We were like, we did the visual effects test. It shows that this kind of technology can work. I want to see if it'll work with multiple actors, actual costumes. Because our visual effects test was done with cardboard box helmets and some DIY stuff. It was very premature. So we got the costumes, we got all the actors together. We did an 11-minute Avengers Battle for New York recreation. We wanted it really long just so we could see if the idea worked. And all the actors that came in, we filmed them one at a time, then they came out. And then we edited all that together, and that came out, I think, January 1st. It was a year after the visual effects test came out. So this would be January 1st, 2019 when it came out. And that actually was what we used as a pitch meeting to get all our other actors on board when we actually did the show, because the test pilot succeeded. And then it wasn't until July 27th, I think 2020, that we actually started filming the actual show. So it was a big journey all the way back from 2018 all the way until we started filming in July 2020.
Oh, that's quite a journey you had.
Yeah, yes, it was. There was a lot of visual effects tests in between just to see if it would work. A lot of visual effects tests that I did by myself. Plus, there was building up the income and making deals with producers, because I bought all the costumes and outfits and whatnot and supplied all that and hired all the actors and whatnot. But we had 3 producers. John was one of them. They all supplied the cameras that we used for filming them.
Which scene was the hardest to film?
Which scene was the hardest to film? That's a good question. Let me think. Might have been the Spider-Man Homecoming scene, just because I know it's a very basic scene where I'm just talking to Spider-Man. I think the hardest part was actually we were losing actors like crazy. And it looked like I actually ended up filming that scene by myself, where I played both Spider-Man and Man, because it didn't even look like John was going to be able to stick into the project at that time. I think in the first week of starting actual production at MRU, we had, I think, maybe 11 actors on board. And by the end of that first week, it was just 2 actors left, me and John. Everybody else had left at that point. And it was looking like John might not be able to make it to finish the show as well. So that was definitely the hardest part. Filming wasn't really that too difficult because it was mostly in a green screen studio. Then there was some outside. But the hardest part was definitely keeping actors on board with the project.
Why was it so hard to keep the actors on board?
That's a great question. I know we faced a lot of unbelief the project could work at the time. I know Mike, who played Iron Man, our test pilot in Iron Man 3, he had to leave due to some, due to some concerns he had. So he ended up having to leave the project early. For the people that actually were any part of the actual show, John and Mike are actually the only actors who ever met each other. Everybody else I have filmed separately, and they still have not met each other to this day. But anyway, so I've been one actor I had to let go. A friend of mine who I still work with sometimes, I had to let go because he was going to mess up his schedule pretty bad. Some other actors, it's hard to say why they left. I think they just enjoyed doing the test pilot, and then when it came to actually doing the show, it was a bit of a big commitment, and they just headed out. A couple other actors were some actors I convinced on a Zoom call at a pitch meeting to join, but they ended up leaving right before they could film anything. But one of those guys ended up being a producer and helped us supply some of the costumes, additional costumes that we needed to make the projects better. But I think a lot of people just couldn't quite grasp the project and how big it would be and how many scene creations there would be. and would it really work? The test pilot showed that it could, but a lot of people still weren't quite sure about it. Thankfully, I was able to, once we were losing actors like crazy, I was able to contact Jacob Hoffman, who ended up playing Thor in our series. So I contacted him on board because I needed a Thor. We still had, I think later on, we did get John back on board, thankfully, as Captain America and Spider-Man, which I was very grateful about. But we only had 2 actors left at that point. And I can play Iron Man pretty well, so I can take that role. And John can play Captain America and Spider-Man, but I can't play Iron Man and Thor at the same time. That would be very distracting to the viewers, I think. So we contacted Jake because we needed at least one more actor at the minimum to get it to work. And he said, yes, I know I just need the Thor actor. So I gave him like a outrageous deal. I paid for him driving to the studio, him coming back to the studio, and for him filming the thing, and gave him a couple stuff. It was really just to get another Thor actor. But I think a lot of people at the beginning just didn't quite grasp the project, what it could be. And I know in the very beginning, the views and whatnot were not, and the response was not what everybody was expecting at the moment. So that's what I would say.
You've gone through a lot of challenges and obstacles, but you made it.
Yes, there you go. We made it. And thankfully, actually, when the project still wasn't quite making what we wanted to, we were actually able to get actors from other countries all on board to film their stuff due to the pandemic. Because we used Val, New York as a pitch meeting as a proof of concept to show that it worked to the actors to get them on board. But once we had episodes coming out, like Civil War recreation, a Doctor Strange recreation, then we just used our entire show, what we had out at the time, which I think was all the way to Thor Ragnarok, to get actors and then professional cosplayers from all around the world to really make the series work in the end. So, yes, it's been quite the journey. Yes. And
the journey will continue soon. What is your opinion about film school? Would you go to film school?
That's a great question. Actually, I did not go to film school. My opinion on film school is no. I feel that actual hard, solid work is more important than actually going to a film school. Showing me what you did on a film project rather than showing me you completed these tests is far more interesting. Plus, you can learn a whole lot more if you're hands-on at the time, which is another reason we were able to do MRU, because we were not going to film school. And I can use that, especially Avengers Endgame Cosplayer Edition, to show what we can do. Also, if you don't go to film school, you're in a position where, yes, it's harder. You have to learn everything yourself. But at the end of the day, you're not in debt at all. And when you move on to your projects, you can just finance them once you have the finances just like that. And throughout the rest of your filmmaking career, you are not in debt to anyone. You can just focus more on making the films you want to.
And you can also learn by doing. You can learn by experience.
Yes, indeed.
One last question. What advice would you give to those who are just starting?
The advice I'd give to those just starting would be just start. That's the big thing. I know I started 7 years ago, just doing recreations, what we had, basically cardboard boxes and painted Nerf guns, or films that way. But just start where you are. Another thing I would say was we definitely keep an eye on us, because we are building resources at Spec Up Studios and Marvel Recreation Universe to help filmmakers along that journey so it doesn't seem so tough. Like our whole documentary will be showing you step by step everything it took to make MRU happen. That way you know what to do to make your own projects happen. If this happened, well, that's okay. That's what happened with MRU or whatnot. Really inspire you to make the projects that you want to. That's the whole idea of MRU, was to inspire filmmakers to show them that anyone from anywhere across the world can make recreations of these popular films, get them very close to the quality of what the actual scene is. So I'd say just start, and then definitely keep an eye on what we're doing on our, our Marvel Recreation Universe Facebook page or YouTube and whatnot, because we'll definitely be posting stuff to help inspire you on the journey along. Some stuff I wish I had when I started, and definitely to inspire the people coming behind us to just make their own films and go for it with everything you got.
Thank you very much, Dustin, for your time. And keep us updated. I am looking forward to see all your progress on our forums. I'm looking forward to hear more about your future film, because this is going to be quite a journey as well. And I hope you can update us as well when the time comes. And I wish you good luck.
Thank you.